All right. So, hope everybody had a good spring break. Hope everybody's doing good. And thank you so much for turning in your work in a timely fashion not last week, but the week before. Been praying for you guys. Been hoping everything's going good at your homes. We've had a really good break, so I'm happy to get back into teaching, obviously. But um, yeah, we had a really good break, and so you watched the video by Senior Jordan a couple minutes ago that was all about the preterite versus the imperfect. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to look a little bit further at some of the differences in the uses between el pretérito y el imperfecto. So this is the worksheet that we're going to be working on today and tomorrow. I just kind of wanted to go over it just so that you weren't totally in the dark. But so this is just kind of a review. It says preterite versus imperfect. Read the sentences below paying attention to the highlighted verbs. The ones on the left are the imperfect tense, and the ones on the right are the preterite tense. So for the imperfect, right, we know that we had a few of these that were irregular, and this is one of them. So Carlos iba a España cada año. Carlos iba a España cada año. Carlos used to go to Spain every year. Or we could also say Carlos was going to Spain every year. Sounds a little bit more wordy, but you could say it that way. Or antes la clase empezaba a la una. Before, class used to start at 8 o'clock. Empezaba. We've got that aba ending, so we know that it's the imperfect. And on the right side here, we have the preterite, right? El año pasado Carlos fue a Mexico. Last year, Carlos went to Mexico. We have a couple of signifiers in these sentences that we can use to determine whether or not we're going to use the imperfect or the preterite here. So, for example, when we know that when it's a specific time, like last year, el año pasado, we're going to use the preterite tense, right? If we say something like cada año, each year, chances are we're going to use the imperfect, meaning that it happened over a period of time. It was a habitual thing, right? Antes, before, right? Before. We don't know when the beginning or the ending was. It just means that at some point in the past this happened. Y finally, ayer la clase empezó a la una. Ayer means yesterday, right? So yesterday la clase empezó a la una. We know that it's in preterite because we have the ending that indicates that it's preterite, right? Yo veía la televisión cuando mis amigos llegaron, right? This is one of those ways that it kind of interrupts an action, right? So I was watching television when my friends arrived, right? Their arrival broke up what I was doing, right? So I was doing something and then they arrived. So that's kind of a detail. Felipe hacía la tarea cuando su mamá lo llamó para comer. Once again, we have an action that was taking place and then something else happened that broke up that action. So that's why we're using the preterite there. Lo llamó para comer. Felipe was doing homework when his mother called him to eat. So here's the explanation for those things, right? Think about all the actions having a beginning, a middle, and an end. If you think about the middle of a continuing action, use the imperfect tense. So this is your example. Last night, anoche, I was studying Spanish when the phone rang. Estudiaba español cuando el teléfono sonó. Right? I was doing something when something else happened. So let's do that one more time. I'll put the imperfect in blue so you can see it, and I'll put the preterite in purple here. Sono. I was studying. I was doing something else when the telephone rang, right? I used to go to the park when I was young. Once again, we have I used to go when I was young. We don't have an action that's interrupting here, so we can just use the imperfect. This is a description if you want to say that. Right? If you talk about the beginning or end of an action, use the preterite tense, right? Last night I studied Spanish. Anoche estudié español. We're going to use the preterite, or we're going to use the preterite here. Studied, estudié. Right? We have the E with an accent, which means that we have to use the preterite there. I went to the park at 3 o'clock. Fui al parque a las tres. Fui al parque a las tres. That's the beginning or the end of an action, right? Okay, so we're moving right along to the second page. So basically what you're being asked to do here is you're just going to read the English sentence and you're going to select whether it is the preterite or the imperfect. I'm not going to do all of these because I want you to do it yourself, but I can do the first one for you. So in 1995, my family and I moved across the country. Right? I know that this is going to be a very specific tense because it's in 1995. In 1995, so that I can put a timestamp on it. So if I know when the action took place, am I going to use the preterite or the imperfect? I'm pausing for you to answer for me. Right, I'm going to use the preterite, right? So all you're doing is you can circle, or for you, basically you're going to go in and write either P or I. Okay, let's go to the second part. Choose the correct translation. This is going to look a little bit difficult, but really all you're doing is these both say the same thing. You're just picking which one, depending on what ending you have, it means, right? So we're going to say our verb here, llegaron. Ellos llegaron tarde a la fiesta. So that is a preterite ending, so I know that it's going to be A. They arrived to the party late. It wouldn't be they were arriving to the party late because it does not have a imperfect ending on it. Okay, and this is the first 2 pages of that worksheet. And then tomorrow when we work on the